For some, they're hauntings from the past. Still haunt them today.
I was terrified.
It was almost like Satan himself was coming up from the depths of hell.
Get out!
My heart was pounding, my stomach felt sick. He would just chase me.
My name is Jack, and this is my story. The neighborhood I grew up in was pretty much just a normal residential neighborhood. I lived in a small, little, colonial-style home. Across the street from us was the park where all the kids played. As a child, I was a pretty quiet kid. I mostly enjoyed spending a lot of time alone, drawing, painting, coloring.
We were raised very strict Catholics. We were a very close family.
It looks great.
My brother Jack, he had an easygoing, happy-go-lucky spirit. We laughed and played. He was a very happy little boy.
But one ill-fated night changes Jack's life forever.
Michelle, you're in charge. Okay, Mom. Have a great night.
My parents were out for the evening. My sister and her friends, they decided to break out the spirit board and have a seance. I was sitting on the outside from them. I wasn't part of it.
As his sister and her friends begin the seance, Jack's fear is growing.
I heard a voice. It sounded like my mother calling me.
Jack.
Nobody else heard it either.
The girls continue calling on the spirits.
Jesus Christ, are you there? Come and talk to us. We're waiting.
The girls said, we're gonna call on Jesus, because if we do that, we hear the devil comes in this place.
Please come to us.
It didn't make sense to me why they were trying to do that. They really just believed it was a game. Nothing really would come of it. Until something actually did.
If you're here, can you send us a message, please?
I started to notice some kind of shape forming. It wasn't all just a dark form, it had color to it. It was taking a shape almost like a human form. I never saw anything like it. I was frightened. I knew what my sister and her friends were trying to do, and it did worry me maybe this was the devil that was coming. The girls just started screaming. They saw it as well.
I remember thinking, oh my Lord, this is not a good thing. This is real. It was terrifying.
And when they broke their chain, it disappeared.
I'm leaving. Guys.
It was extremely scary. You could just feel the fear and the terror in that room from what had happened.
The seance really scared me.
We never talked about it again after that, never told our parents. Spirit board did scare me. Even to this day, I tell people don't use those things.
It's not a game and it's not a toy. It's something to be taken very seriously.
This marks the first time Jack sees a spirit, but not so for Michelle.
I've been seeing them, hearing them, experiencing them since such a young age. I was a very quiet child and liked to play by myself, so I would always go upstairs to the old closet. There was a lot of old toys in there.
But not everything in the closet is there to play.
I used to love to go in this little closet, but then I kind of started being a little bit afraid. There was this one toy, a little monkey with cymbals, and the monkey would automatically just start to play his little musical cymbals. It was creepy and rather scary.
Michelle soon learns something is controlling it.
Too scary. Why is this old shadowy woman sitting in a closet? I was very fearful.
Despite never seeing the old lady again, Michelle carries the fear for years after.
As I got older, I just became more fearful of this eerie, shadowy woman. I'm not sure who that lady in the closet was to this day. I never really told anyone about it for the longest time. When we were children, we didn't talk a lot about these paranormal things that would happen to us.
I just didn't want to talk about it. I really wanted nothing to do with the paranormal.
For a few years, the activity quiets down. But Jack's paranormal nightmare is far from over.
I do believe the spirit board opened a portal. Something saw me. It later came back for me. I was about 15 or 16. I vaguely remember falling asleep. Don't know for how long. And then a strong feeling of fear came over me. And I hear something coming, heavy, heavy footsteps. They didn't sound like a human footstep. It sounded like an animal. It was like almost a heavy clopping sound.
Scared and unsure, Jack prays with his father's rosary.
My father's rosary, it was something that I did look to. I could hear it coming closer, and at this point I started to ask for some kind of help.
Oh, help me, God, help me.
I felt myself moving towards the doorway, and I could see down the stairs that come up to my bedroom. And I could hear it growling, snorting, and that's when I saw this thing coming slowly up the stairs. It had a goat's lower body and a humanoid upper body. It had a goat's head, horns, and these glowing red eyes. Typically what people would perceive the devil himself to look like. And it just kept grunting and growling and all these crazy noises, and I was terrified.
It was almost like Satan himself was coming up after him from the depths of hell.
There's nothing going through my mind but terror.
Oh, God, please help me. Someone help me. Someone help me.
My mother gave it to me after my father passed away.
You're going to be all right.
And that's when I heard this other voice.
It's okay.
I felt like somebody was there trying to help me, protect me.
Go away! He's not yours.
And then I heard it yell at this thing to go away.
Go away! He's not yours.
And I heard this goat-footed devil scream. It was still in total fear. And then it was gone.
Eventually, Jack shared the story with me about the goat-footed devil. I was shocked, scared. That was an evil, evil spirit. It was very, very scary.
My father's rosary, I do believe it had an important part in protecting me. I just had the sense that maybe he had something to do with getting me the help I needed that night, and I've kept that rosary with me ever since.
This incident really scared Jack, scared him within an inch of his life.
I do believe it was paranormal related, and I do actually believe now that it was connected somehow to the spirit board experience. The spirit board opened a portal, and it came through at its own convenience later on. When you're dealing with things that are demonic, time has no meaning to them. So you can have an experience with a spirit board and nothing happens until years later. I've always been worried that this creature will come back. I'm still worried about it to this day.
With time, Jack comes to embrace his ability to see and hear spirits.
Since I have accepted and connected and worked with these gifts, my whole life has taken a completely 180-degree turn for the better.
For the past 2 decades, Jack has been working as a paranormal investigator.
I know that I'm supposed to be helping people. The reason I'm talking about this now is because of what I do now. And maybe somebody else has had this similar experience. And it is okay to talk about it. There's things that can be done to help you. I just hope nobody ever has an experience like what I had.
My name is Katie, and this is my story. When I was a kid, my family decided to purchase a farm in Northern Ontario. Growing up in the city and moving up to the farm, it was so exciting. It was such a vast open space, and it was something like a new beginning.
Katie was meant for the farm life. Katie just loved it.
When I was little, I acquired a pair of cowboy boots. I absolutely loved these boots. They made me feel like a cowgirl. Anytime I was in the barn, I always had these boots on. I absolutely loved going in the barn every day. I loved doing my chores, and I loved seeing all the different animals. As a kid, this barn felt humongous. The barn is probably between 130 years old and 150 years old. I remember having fun in this barn. It was a dream come true.
But young Katie's dream doesn't last long.
One morning, when I went in to do my barn chores, I turned the radio on and I started doing my chores again. And all of a sudden, the radio went out. And I was quite confused. I walk back to the radio and turn it back on again. And I continue my chores, and next thing you know, the radio turns off again. I had already turned the radio on a few times before that, but it keeps turning off. And of course, I'm nervous. I'm vulnerable. I'm by myself. I'm a kid. I don't understand what's going on.
She brought the radio in the house to have her dad look at it. At the time, I remember saying to my husband, yeah, that's happened to me too. The radio will turn off and turn on, and sometimes it would change stations. My husband couldn't find anything wrong with it.
The activity escalates from there.
It changed quite quickly to something that was quite aggressive. I started to feel like I was being watched. We would hear things upstairs walking around to the point where I was kind of nervous to go upstairs of the barn and bring hay down or to get anything I needed. I could hear these voices, but they were muffled. I couldn't make out what they were saying. I got to one end of the barn and I hear, hello. And I turn around to see who is here, and there is nobody there. It was then that I started to feel scared. And all of a sudden, I heard this deep, guttural thumping noise. It was coming from the earth. It was coming from below. So you would start to feel it in your legs, and it would go up to the base of your stomach, and it was rhythmic. You could hear it. It was throbbing.
And it throws Katie off balance.
It was a frightening sensation because you didn't know where it was coming from. You didn't know where to run.
When Katie's mom goes to investigate, it happens again.
It was like shaking, and you could almost feel it come up like on your feet. I know we're not near any fault lines. There's never been any earthquakes around here. I didn't know what it was, so a lot of this stuff was very scary to me.
Unable to explain what is happening, they try to brush it off until a few days later, when things get even stranger.
I was walking by myself and I was checking fence lines. Living in a rural area, we don't have neighbors. There's nobody directly beside us. As I looked up, there was a little boy and a little girl in period clothing. It started to make me nervous. All of a sudden, these kids dissipate. Gone. I had fear. I didn't know what to expect, so it was very frightening.
She came back to the house and she said, you know, Mom, you wouldn't believe it. There was 2 kids playing in the leaves. And I said, what 2 kids? And she said, I don't know who they were, but they were dressed like pioneers. She said, and then they just disappeared, a boy and a girl. We did not have neighbors close by any means. I didn't know what to make of it. What could it be?
This is when I really started to pay attention to what I was seeing and feeling and hearing. And this is when I realized that I have a sixth sense.
Soon after, the unexplained quickly turns grisly.
I went out to the barn one day and I found my chickens all dead. I have seen, predators and what they do to livestock and chickens and everything, and this was completely different. There was no marks on those chickens. It's like as if somebody went in and killed them and just laid them all beside each other. It was very frightening to me. I was quite concerned. I don't know what to do here, you know what I mean?
I was intimidated. I didn't understand what it was.
Katie doesn't want to go inside the barn by herself. She doesn't feel safe alone.
The next time I went back in that barn, I had a friend over for the day. We decided to go out to the barn. At first, everything is normal. I could sense something was about to happen. And all of a sudden, I heard this deep gunshot sound.
Okay.
As soon as the sound happens, I see my friend grab her side, and she's in pain. You can see she's in physical pain.
Come on.
I'm frightened because I'm thinking, where is this sound coming from? I don't know how to stop it, and I don't know how to help my friend. My stomach felt sick, and I felt like we needed to run. We needed to leave the barn, and we run to my mother and try and explain what happened.
What happened? My side hurts.
Let me see, hon.
Not wanting them to be frightened, I said maybe it was just one of the barn doors upstairs. Maybe the wind made a board bang or something.
Maybe that could have happened, okay? So don't worry.
Just trying to, give them an explanation that they could accept.
She's trying so hard to be calm with the situation, but I could tell that my mother was just as frightened as we were. That gunshot wasn't an isolated incident. Things are escalating, they're getting worse. It started to make me feel uncomfortable. I didn't want to go into the barn anymore. This was part of my home, and I went into the barn every day smiling, and now I was afraid. I didn't want to go in because what would happen next?
But Katie musters up the courage to return.
I wanted to spend time with my horse. I was in the barn brushing my horse, and all of a sudden, I started to get a little nervous. I thought, what is going on here? I started to feel like something was trying to get my attention. All of a sudden, I felt this sharp sensation on my neck. Two unseen hands picked me up by the scruff of the neck. I can feel myself off the ground, and I could see that I was literally hovering off the ground. I'm petrified, I'm scared. They just picked me up and dropped me. It was like he picked me up and pushed me down. And all of a sudden in my mind's eye, I could see what the man looked like. He had scruffy dark hair and scruffy face. He had dirty teeth and he smelled rancid.
Get out!
He did not want me there. He was enraged that I was in his space.
Get out!
I felt like this thing was trying to attack me. My heart was pounding, my stomach felt sick, and I ran as fast as I could.
Get out!
What happened? What's the matter?
She came in the house and she was really, really shook up.
Just pull me back and push me to the ground.
She told me that she felt something lift her up and put her back down.
Okay.
I saw the fear in her, and I was afraid as well.
I believe you, okay? I do.
She knew then that there was something really going on. This wasn't a figment of my imagination. This, in fact, really happened.
How can you protect your child against something that you can't see, but your child sees it?
Now that things have escalated to being physical, I was afraid for my family. I was afraid for myself. I started to realize that it was definitely paranormal. I have to figure out how to fix this because it's only going to get worse. And so I delved into all things paranormal. I started reading books and watching television shows or any documentaries, anything I could get my hand on to try and comprehend and to validate what I was seeing to be real.
Katie's mom does some digging as well.
According to some of the locals, many, many years ago, there was a bank robbery in the town close to where we live. And the two men that robbed the bank apparently were holed up in our barn.
Finally, the cops came. It was a big shootout.
Maybe that's what the gunshot sound was. Maybe somebody was killed in the barn.
The evil, vile man that had picked me up by the scruff of the neck, I do feel that he fits the description of the bank robbery and the time period with the clothing that he was wearing. That spirit, he didn't want me in that barn.
Through researching the paranormal, Katie learns that spirits can disguise themselves.
Not every child spirit who's happy and playful is really a child spirit.
Katie believes robbers may have been masquerading as the Pioneer children.
This could be something evil or demonic trying to get in. As a kid doing research and learning about the paranormal, one of the most important things is that you have to state your ground. You have to make sure that you're not showing your fear. I managed to get the guts to go back into the barn. I put my boots on, and as a kid wearing these cool cowboy boots, it did make me feel empowered. It made me feel like this was home, this was my range, and I could do anything.
This is my barn, my farm. Either we live together or you leave. No, this is my barn, my barn.
I have to let them know that they can't walk on me. I kind of set that precedence and said, okay, I'm here, you can't affect me. It knew that it couldn't manipulate me, it couldn't intimidate me anymore. And so the energy shifted. Growing up, having this activity happening and happening so often, it intrigued me. Learning about the unknown, learning about the paranormal, I really did start to believe in myself and realize that these psychic abilities I had were real. And so from there, here I sit. I'm now a full-time psychic medium, and I help people every day. We have cleansed the property many times, the house included. When things start to get kind of awry or the activity starts to amp up, that's when I go back in and I cleanse again. It's still there to this day, but it's just not as angry as it was before. Sometimes things will go missing, or sometimes the lights will flicker on and off. My family and I have embraced it, we accept it, and as long as it realizes that we are not going anywhere and it does not have the power to hurt us, we're okay with it being there.
All right, sweetie, let's call it a day.
My name is Michelle, and this is my story. I was fairly outgoing. I was a bit of a tomboy. I loved to spend a lot of time outside with my mom. Growing up, I knew that I was different. I come from a line of people who were very intuitive, and they would see things all the time. This is the first time I've ever decided to talk about it. I was a child when I started to see things. I remember taking a walk up the road, and it was just a beautiful day. And when I stopped, I thought I could see something. It was a young man. And when I took a real good look, I realized it was a little bit different because it wasn't completely solid. It was an apparition. It looked like he had possibly shot himself because part of his face looked like it was just blown off. I had never seen anything like that. It scared me. Was he there to hurt me? My biggest fear is that he would follow me. I ran home. I explained to my mother what had happened, and she sort of just disbelief, like didn't really know what to say about it. My mom had briefly looked into it, and it was a small community. Nobody knew anybody that had, taken their own lives or died out in the area, so we just don't really know where he came from.
When Michelle told me that would be a frightening experience to think that something horrific is 2 steps behind you. You can only imagine what that's like. That's like out of your nightmares. That's the sort of thing you can't wake up from.
When I was about 13, I begged my parents to let me have the room in the basement. After all, I was a teenager and I felt I wanted my own space. I liked it at first.
All alone in the basement, Michelle starts noticing strange things, strange sounds.
I would hear scratching in the walls. There's like a and I'm thinking, that's weird. And we hear knocking, like in a set of 3. Like someone just knocking on the door. And I would hear that on the wall. It got pretty spooky. One time I heard it from the window, and that was late at night. I remember looking out my window and there was nobody there. I felt very vulnerable.
Michelle's terrifying night isn't over yet.
I had heard footsteps outside my door, and I thought, oh, somebody just came down. Then I heard them again. I opened the door, expecting to see somebody. But it's funny because in the pit of my stomach, I somehow knew I wouldn't find anyone there. And when I opened the door, there was no one there.
Over time, the spirit grows more powerful.
I remember having one of my girlfriends coming over for a sleepover.
So does the lead singer. Oh, yeah.
And all of a sudden it got really cold in the room. And we sort of looked at each other.
What was that?
A breeze whisked across the bottom of my chin, and I went, okay, that was different.
This is weird.
And it gets stranger still.
One of the albums went flinging, just went right across the room. I didn't know what to say. I didn't know how to react. And then another one went. I was in shock.
I believe that there's more to this world than what we can physically see right before our eyes. And that was quite a frightening story.
I never had anything, any physical things like that ever happen before. We just flew upstairs.
The bizarre incidents in the basement are taking a toll on Michelle.
I rarely smiled anymore. I just kept to myself.
Hi, honey.
One day, I remember coming home, closing the door behind me, heading towards my room. And all of a sudden, I could feel something at my back. It felt like an energy felt almost solid. I knew then, with great certainty, this was a non-human entity, and I wasn't ready for that.
The entity is stalking Michelle almost every day.
I always used to call it the game, you know, where he would just chase me. I felt him at my back the whole time, chase me over to my bedroom. I'd get in my room, I'd slam the door, I'd catch my breath, and there'd be a BAM on the door. That became my life. I was just spiraling further into darkness. Whatever it was, it got empowered by my negative energy. It became my constant companion, an unwanted companion, but always there, always watching, always waiting. I didn't want anybody else to get hurt, so I isolated myself from a lot of my friends.
Dark entities, they do have an agenda, and that is to keep you isolated. They get into your mind, they get into your soul, and they eat away at you, a little bit at a time. They divide you from your family, they separate you from your friends until they have you completely alone. They wreak havoc on your life, and that's what they enjoy.
I had a Bible. It was an antique Bible that had come from a great-grandparent. It gave me great comfort. I really felt as a child that it would protect me. It was extremely stressful because I never knew what the spirit was going to do next, when it was going to rear its head. Things were so bad, I couldn't imagine anything getting worse. And then it did. One night, I woke up at about, I guess it was 3 a.m., the old witching hour. And I saw mist at the end of the bed. I sat up and still didn't quite know what to expect. I could see something coming up from the floor. Things were very quiet. It was just dead air. All of a sudden, coming up was this thing. And it wasn't what I expected. I could see scales. I could see fur. I saw 2 sets of horns. One set of horns went back like this, and then there were 2 smaller ones. And it had green eyes. I'm gathering this was a demonic entity.
It was absolutely frightening to hear about things that are coming at her within the safety of her own home. It was quite upsetting for me to even listen to.
This is what has been embedding itself into my life.
Michelle reaches for the only thing that might help.
The Bible, it was a symbol of protection, a symbol of light. And my heart was racing.
She grabbed onto that and went, "This is my power."
And then it was just gone. And from that point on, I slept with that little Bible under my pillow every single night.
That night is the turning point, and Michelle decides to take matters into her own hands.
I had to take care of this. I had to disattach myself from it once and for all. I found myself getting more involved in reading books on the occult. I've come to learn that young girls going through puberty is very enticing to dark things. They feed off of energy. They want to isolate you from people. That's why I became so dark. It's why I became at odds with my family. They do attach to the soul, and it's a terrifying feeling.
She's had evidence through genealogy that shows this particular entity being within the family lineage going back many years.
I've met so many mediums in my field who have picked up on this thing and said to me, "It's been with you lifetimes." He has a name. I cannot divulge the name. That will go to my grave. It really came down to learning how to fight the negativity, how to become more positive.
Hey, Susie. Hey, Michelle. Hi.
How to look at the glass as being half full instead of half empty. And it was changing the energy from negative to positive. I finally was able to gain control over my life and push him away. And for years and years and years, it got very quiet.
Despite the terror she grew up with, Michelle wouldn't change the past.
My experiences growing up were the catalyst for who I am today. I help people now going through exactly this. My time is spent working in malevolent hauntings and demonic infestations and attachments.
To this day, Michelle still lives with her attachment.
Every now and then it rears its head just to let me know I'm still here. Wayne and I have gone back to my family home. I had a family member who wanted to communicate with my grandfather, so I agreed to do it.
I actually set up the sound stuff. I'm expecting to hear all the benign spirits talking and bits and pieces and try to make sense of it.
All of a sudden, this loud, this thundering, very short growl comes through. That was my life for 5 years.
The first time I heard it, like honestly, my hair just stood right up on end. You listen to this kind of stuff, like as a child, I actually felt emotional. Even now talking about it, I feel a little emotional about it because I couldn't believe that a little girl had to put up and had to cope with something like this horrific. No child should ever go through anything like that, not ever. She's a strong individual. She has also grown as a psychic and as a medium and has learned to actually master the things that she was blessed with as a gift.
I do what I do today because of what I went through, because I don't want anyone else to have to go through it. Plain and simple. I can look someone in the eye and say, I've been where you are. I know what you're going through. I still know what you're going through.